toxic chemicals spill into the waters of New Jersey. Details on how it may affect the area.
Big news for Palestine and their status with the United Nations. We'll have the latest coming up.
Mayor Jerry Sanders is ready to hand over the keys to the city, what he had to say about his 7 years in office.
And will this gloomy weather continue, or are we in for some unexpected sunshine? We'll let you know. Newscene starts right now.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Newscene. I'm Nate Holmes.
And I'm Justin Watson. Thanks for joining us.
We begin with our newscast this morning in Oceanside. A couple has been arrested for allegedly keeping a 12-year-old girl as a sex slave. The victim says she was forced to commit a lewd acts as if she did not complete her household items on time. The suspects are due in court for an arraignment on Monday.
A train carrying hazardous chemicals crashed into a creek after a bridge collapsed in West Deptford, New Jersey this morning. According to the U.S. Coast Guard, vinyl chloride, a highly toxic chemical, is leaking into Mantua Creek near the Delaware River. Nearby schools are on lockdown and neighborhoods close to the spill have been evacuated. Representatives at Underwood Hospital have treated 18 patients with respiratory issues so far. No other serious injuries have been reported, and a hazardous materials team is on the scene.
A clothing factory fire in Bangladesh that killed more than 100 people has links to American retailers. In the ash of the Tarzine fashion factory, remains of Sears, Walmart, Disney, Sean Combs, Aniche, and other Latin American labels are being uncovered. Police have arrested 3 factory officials suspected of locking workers inside the building. Human rights groups have often reported dangerous working conditions inside Bangladesh textile factories, where workers average $37 a month. Walmart claims that they stopped doing business with the factory after deeming it a high risk, but subcontractors continue to work with the company.
The Environmental Protection Agency has temporarily suspended British Petroleum from new contracts with the U.S. government. The EPA says it's taking action due to BP's, quote, lack of business integrity over the 2010 Deepwater Horizon oil spill. BP has spent a record $14 billion in response to the spill. The EPA and BP have both said the temporary ban will not affect existing agreements BP has with the U.S. government. BP has put over $52 billion into U.S. energy development projects since 2007, more than any other country they invest in.
Palestine is making strides in diplomacy after a status change from the United Nations. The General Assembly voted to upgrade Palestine's status from a non-member observer entity to a non-observer state. The vote passed 138-9 in favor of Palestine, a decision to back a weakened Palestine following the recent 8-day conflict in Gaza.
The issue of same-sex marriage is in the hands of the U.S. Supreme Court tonight. The nation's highest court was in conference today deciding which of 8 landmark cases will be heard. The cases over questions of health care, marriage, immigration, and federal benefits currently denied to same-sex marriage partners.
The fiscal cliff is inching closer. Today, President Obama is visiting a manufacturing plant in Pennsylvania. This week, he met with small business owners and top CEOs, urging them to contact Congress to reach a deal. Bush-era tax cuts will expire at the end of the year if lawmakers don't make an agreement. That means rates for everyone will go up in January. Meantime, the president welcomed Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto to the White House on Wednesday. They are both confident they will have a strong relationship and get things done. Also, President Obama met with Romney for the first time since the election. They had a private lunch at the White House yesterday. The two agreed to work together to move the country forward.
The number of American residents living on food stamps is on the rise. Recently released U.S. Census data shows that nearly 15 million households received food stamps last year, a substantial increase from 2010. Most states reported an increase in nutrition assistant recipients. Oregon tops the list at nearly 20% of households receiving food stamps. California has the 3rd lowest percentage of food stamp recipients.
According to the CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 35.7% of U.S. adults are obese. The struggle to lose weight isn't always about overeating.
That's right, Nate. One city student shares some of his battles with us. Our Jim Smith has the story.
In the afternoon, when I tried to do my normal 3-hour shoot around, I could barely get in a minute before I was pretty much gasping for air. They even had to call the ambulance at that point because something was majorly wrong.
This is LaShawn Encarnacion as he recalls the day that a hyperthyroid took away his athleticism and set him on a path of weight gain that threatens his life and often challenges his emotions.
It's not easy. It's probably the most lonely life that I've ever had. It's to the point where sometimes I'm even afraid to leave my own home because I'm afraid of people pointing at me and laughing at me, and they do.
In spite of this, LaShawn has continued to seek opportunities to reduce his weight and increase his health. Unfortunately, his economic situation and medical insurance limit his ability to take part in many diet programs or surgeries.
Well, we're not going to perform surgery on you. We don't want that liability.
LaShawn continues to look for other avenues to surgery. He consults with a nutritionist and has a daily regimen that includes physical therapy, cardio, and weight training. But he is still at risk.
My ribs are slowly crushing my lungs to where I'm having a very hard time breathing. Let's say this orange is my lungs. My hand is my ribs. Slowly, this is what's happening.
For now, LaShawn continues to work out, facing his challenges and struggling not to lose faith.
In the end, it's all not about how many times you get knocked down, but it's how many times you pick yourself back up, you brush the dirt off your shoulders, and you keep moving on and trying to find other ways to make it happen.
Now weighing more than 500 pounds, LaShawn has found an internet site that will give him a high-interest loan for up to half the price of liposuction procedure. Now he's on a mission to raise that money.
The Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors is launching a task force to address the issue of human sex trafficking. It's been found that a majority of juveniles arrested for prostitution charges in LA County are from foster care systems. The task force will examine this problem and report back with recommendations in 6 months.
The man posing as a police officer in San Diego has been convicted by a jury. Kevin Allen Kingston has been charged with 20 criminal counts and felonies. Some of these include kidnapping, false imprisonment, stalking, police impersonation, and violating a restraining orders. Kingston was using an unauthorized police vehicle to pull people over and demand their driving information he would then proceed to harass them and lecture them about unlawful conduct. The case culminated with him breaking into his ex-girlfriend's apartment and assaulting her. The case is going to trial January 9th in the beginning of the next year. Kingston faces 24 years in state prison.
Kenneth Corley has become the first nonviolent offender to be released under Proposition 36. Last week, a San Diego judge resentenced Corley to about 15 years, and he was released based on time served since 1996. So far, 7 offenders are being helped by the California Western School of Law to get out prisoners under this law.
San Diego State University is ranked at the top of a new survey, and it doesn't look good. SDSU is number 7 on in the list of most dangerous college campuses in the county. The Business Insider survey used FBI crime data from the past 3 years to come up with the data. The university averages 27 violent incidents and over 500 cases of property crime a year. UCLA took the number 1 spot.
Jerry Sanders gave his last press conference as San Diego's mayor this week. He will be remembered for steering the city away from bankruptcy, passing pension reform, and negotiating a new central library. Sanders gained national attention in 2007 when he changed his public position on same-sex marriage and agreed to sign a resolution aimed at overturning the state's ban.
I have close family members and friends who are a member of the gay and lesbian community. I just could not bring myself to tell an entire group of people in our community they were less important, less worthy, or less deserving of the rights and responsibilities of marriage than anyone else.
His last day is Monday when Mayor-elect Bob Filner will be sworn in.
A new homeless shelter in North County is underway but will not open until January 1st. Russ Blackwood has run Operation Hope Winter Shelter from a rented warehouse for the past few years. The new shelter would give privacy for women and add a safe environment for children while they better their lives and increase self-dignity. The shelter will give new hope for families in need and change their lives.
The historic Horton Plaza is getting a new makeover. The $14.7 million project began around 10:30 a.m. on Thursday with a ceremony boom. City officials and the Westfield Manor owner signaled heavy equipment operators to begin the removal of the old Robinson's May building on the north side of the shopping center. A new 1.3-acre public gathering space, which includes the existing park, will extend south to Balboa Theater at 4th Ave and East Street. The project is part of a $35 million agreement with Westfield to sell the department store site back to the city. The project is expected to be completed in the spring of 2014.
City College students showcased their talent in the poetry slam. Who came out on top and got the cash prize?
And Colts cheerleaders shaved their locks in Indy. We'll tell you why after the break.
Where's my husband? Where's my husband?
Stop.
How's she doing? 2, 3.
She was the passenger. Car was